Hello and welcome to the Winning Agenda's online coverage of matches. My name is Jesse Marshall and I'm going to be taking you through a series of games with this new Apex deck. So Apex is one of the new mini-faction runner identities from Data and Destiny. It's a identity digital. It's a virus program with no particular gender, so we'll be referring to it as it. It's got 45 minimum deck size and 25 influence. You cannot install non-virtual resources, which is a reasonably big deck building restriction. Most resources are not virtual, so you can't install them with Apex. You can have them in your deck, but you can't do a lot with them. So Apex is quite limited in the number of resources that it can include in its deck and actually use. When your turn begins, you may install one card from your grip face down, which is an ability that fuels a lot of the cards in its mini faction, which we'll come to soon. So the main way that I've tried to tackle this deck is using the more powerful cards from within Apex's mini faction, and actually almost all of them have made their way in. So we've got Endless Hunger, which is the Icebreaker. It's 4 MU, so that's quite a limitation. And you can trash one of your installed cards to break and end the run subroutine. It has to be exactly end the run. It can't have any other text. This allows you to get through things like Eli or small face checking ice like, small gear checking ice like Ice Wall and Quandary and Paper Wall without too much trouble. You can use the face down cards that you install using Apex's natural ability, or other cards that you've managed to get face down, or any other installed card that you want to use to break those subroutines. Then you've got Harbinger, which is a zero cost, 0 MU program. When it's trashed, install it face down instead of adding it to your heap. So if you trash it because you've got too many cards in your hand in your grip at the end of your turn, then it goes into play face down. Or if it gets trashed through Endless Hunger or another ability that allows you to trash one of your installed cards whilst it's installed, then it will also get reinstalled face down instead of going to your heap. So Harbinger's another good one that fuels Endless Hunger and also fuels Heartbeat, which is the other crucial part of Apex's suite. It's the console, and it gives you +1 MU, trash an installed card, prevent 1 damage, so that can be brain, meat, or net damage, and it's got the usual console text, and it's 2 to install. Heartbeat is extremely powerful. It means you don't have to play things like Plascrete in your deck because you have this intrinsic meat damage protection, but it also allows you to get around one of the downsides of your rig, which is based around Endless Hunger, and that is that you have no easy way to break damage dealing ice. So Heartbeat gives you a backup option to try and deal with that, alongside having other breakers that allow you to deal with that. The other Apex cards in the deck are Hunting Grounds, which is a 2-cost virtual resource. Once per turn, prevent a when encountered ability on a piece of ice. So it lets you avoid things like Data Ravens when encountered ability and Tollbooths when encountered ability. Particularly good against Tollbooth because through a combination of Endless Hunger and Hunting Grounds, you can get past a Tollbooth just by trashing 1 card, which is an extremely efficient way to get past one of what's usually one of the most taxing pieces of ice in the game. Wasteland is another really crucial part of Apex's economy engine. 2-cost virtual resource. The first time each turn you trash one of your installed cards, gain 1 credit. And these can stack, so you can have up to 3 in play at a time. And the first time each turn you trash a card to Endless Hunger or Heartbeat or for any other reason, it has to be installed, though, you gain a credit. So it means that when you're making runs and using Endless Hunger, you can also be gaining credits at the same time. When you're taking damage and preventing it with Heartbeat, you're also gaining credits, which is a really great passive way to be gaining credits throughout the game, and I've really been enjoying Wasteland. It's actually probably exceeded my expectations so far in my testing. Then you've got Apocalypse is the last Apex card in the deck. You can only play it if you've done the notoriety runs. You've run HQ, R&D, and Archives. And it trashes all the installed Corp cards, so all ice, all cards in remote servers, and it turns all installed runner cards face down. So your entire rig will get turned face down to be future fuel for things like Endless Hunger. Apocalypse, I found to be a bit difficult to use in my testing. That restriction is really restrictive. It means you have to set up the turn before you want to use Apocalypse so that you're 100% ready to go, because you have no scope to use extra clicks to make those 3 runs that you need to make on the turn that you want to use the Apocalypse. So your clicks are actually have to be HQ, R&D, Archives, and play Apocalypse, which is quite restrictive because you have to know exactly how many credits you're going to need in advance and exactly which breakers you're going to need, which is not always the easiest situation to come up with, or to find yourself in, rather. So that's all the Apex cards. Apocalypse probably the most borderline one, which might be the reason why I've gone down to 2, as opposed to the other cards, which are all 3 ofs. The crucial part of making a deck work when you have very little resource economy apart from Wasteland, because most of the other good economy resources aren't virtual, is that you need to use events for your economy. So we've got the Lucky Find, Sure Gamble, and Dirty Laundry suite, and we're using prepaid voice pads to make them a little bit more efficient. Obviously, it's not as good to have prepaids in Apex as it is in Kate, because the prepaids themselves actually cost 2 instead of 1. But over the course of the game, it's still saving you quite a bit of credits. Then we've got quality time to allow you to access a lot of cards, because to fuel your natural ability and find your economy cards at the right time, you really need to be accessing multiple cards. One thing with Apex is because you're chewing through cards quite consistently with your Endless Hunger and your natural ability, you need to spend quite a few clicks drawing. So having things like quality time and diesel in the deck allows you to mitigate that somewhat and be a little bit more efficient and more aggressive earlier in the game. Legwork and the Maker's Eye give you a bit more benefit from your prepaid voice pads, and also are crucial because multi-access is so important as a runner in this game. You could potentially play interfaces, but given the upfront cost, compared with what is a very negligible upfront cost for the events, once you've already included an event economy, I think the events outshine the interfaces in this particular deck. So that's why I've gone with them. So there's 2 Legworks and 2 Maker's Eyes. Then you've got a Dyson Mem chip, which allows you to host, 2 Dyson Mem chips, which allow you to host 2 other programs in concert with Heartbeat in your rig on top of Endless Hunger. So because Endless Hunger is 4 MU, if you want to have a Crypsis and a Data Sucker in addition to Endless Hunger, you need to have a Mem chip and Heartbeat. So that's why the Mem chips are in there. It also allows you to have the Mimic hosted as well as the Crypsis, if that's another permutation you want your rig to take, or if you play both the Mem chips out, you can have a Data Sucker, Crypsis, and Mimic in addition to your Endless Hunger, which will allow you to get through most things, realistically. Endless Hunger obviously dealing quite well with Wraparound, so that rig will actually allow you to get through everything, because Mimic will get you through Swordsman, Crypsis and Data Sucker will get you through everything else, and Endless Hunger gets you through Wraparound for just 1 credit. Obviously, there are some ice that Crypsis is not terribly efficient at breaking outside of Wraparound, but hopefully you'll find your way to deal with most of those, either with the economy or just by running elsewhere and pressuring other servers. So that's the crux of the deck. It's about sort of having a consistent tempo throughout the game. Once you get the rig built up, it can be quite similar to sort of a more data folding Underworld Contact style control rig in terms of the economy, but you've also got quite aggressive elements through the economy, the event economy suite, and also the multi-access events. So you've got a bit of both, making it sort of, I guess, a mid-rangey deck, and giving you some flexibility about attacking your opponent at various different stages in the game. Endless Hunger allows you to put a lot of pressure on early if you can get it out. Obviously, you do have to be careful, and there are a lot of different cards that can threaten your Endless Hunger right back in Destroyers, etc. So having access to your Mimic and your Crypsis can sometimes be necessary. But given that Endless Hunger is 0 to install, and there are 3 of them in the deck, you can also afford to be slightly reckless with it every now and then. And Heartbeat just gives you that protection from dying. So if the sort of worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to lose your Endless Hunger in most runs, if they manage to get you with a Destroyer or something, Heartbeat can protect you from the other common negative outcome from not being able to break ice, which is that you're going to either take damage or take tags. And Heartbeat can protect you from the damage and protect you from the most common tag punishment, being Scorched Earth, reasonably well. So that's the deck. It's got quite a bit of offensive and defensive capability, and it can hit the corp at various different stages in the game, which I've been finding. So let's get on to the games and see how we go. Thanks, guys.